Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you an easy beef soup recipe. I've tried this recipe loads of times at my home, so I just want to share with you because you know I like sharing the good stuff with you. Okay, so just to give you a bit of an ingredients breakdown, over here I've got 1 kilogram of beef that I diced. I've got 2 cups of flour. I've got 1 packet of my cock flavored noodle soup, which is obviously a Caribbean favorite for soups. We've got half of a white yam. I've got 4 eddoes over here. In St. Lucia we call it Tanya, but I think the real name is eddoes. I've got a quarter of a pumpkin. I've got 2 white potatoes. I've got a medium onion, some garlic cloves, some fresh thyme, a scotch bonnet pepper. I've also got 1 chow. We got some parsley, some spring onions, 2 carrots. We also got the celery stalk over here, a scotch bonnet pepper, and we got some peppercorns. Okay, couldn't find some pimento, but this will work perfectly fine. So this is just a breakdown of everything that I'm gonna be using. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is to start peeling and chopping up all of my ingredients here that needs peeling and chopping, like my yam and my pumpkin, you know. And the reason I wanted to show you guys all of my ingredients in the raw form is because sometimes people may have a bit of a hard time trying to find some of the ingredients if probably it's chopped already, or maybe even if I listed it in this description box. Because what you find is probably, if you don't know what eddoes look like, because I've peeled it, because it looks very different when you've peeled it, is that if I have it in the raw form, then you can actually go to the shop and ask for eddoes, and because you've seen it in my video, then you kind of have a clue of what I use. Okay, unlike the pumpkin. Okay, so that is what that was the whole intention of showing you guys the ingredients in the raw form. Okay, so let us go. I'm gonna start by putting a few of my ingredients to the side, like for example my noodle soup and my flour, just some of the stuff that I'm not gonna be using straight away. I'm gonna be setting them to one side. Alright, and then what I'm gonna do is to just arrange everything according to how I would like it to be. But to start off, I like to go in with a little bit of salt and black pepper on my beef, probably about half teaspoon of salt on my beef. Okay, and I also like to go in with a little bit of black pepper, and then I'm gonna set that to one side. So this is about half teaspoon of salt, half teaspoon of black pepper, and all you want to do is just to massage this in just a little bit. Okay, just mix it up and then just set it to one side for just a few minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Just set it aside while you go ahead and peel up the rest of your ingredients. Okay, so let us get started. Now I've got a bowl over here with a bit of clean water in there that I'm gonna be putting my skins in there when I'm finished peeling it. Like I always tell people, put whatever you want in your soup. That is entirely up to you. You know, this is the way I make mine. So if you make yours any differently, you can always let me know in the comments. But I find people have a way of always trying to bash somebody because they probably make it differently, or maybe their granny or auntie make it differently. I think in the Caribbean we all have our different styles of cooking, okay? And it's always nice when you can share your methods without being rude or trying to make someone feel like they did it wrong. Okay, so just bear in mind when you make comments. Okay, so we're just peeling off all of those, and as soon as we're finished, we're gonna go ahead and peel off our pumpkin and put that in there as well. Okay, so I'm just cutting off my potatoes, not too chunky but not too small. All right. So this is how my ground provisions are looking now that I've peeled them up. What I'm gonna do now is to get a separate bowl for my chow and my pumpkin and my stuff like that, but I'm gonna leave that to soak in this water because I find that the yam tends to get a bit black or a bit brownish when you leave it dry. Okay, so you can just leave it in the bowl with water, and if you see any little impurities like these, just go in and clean it up. And don't mind these little brown things you see floating around. This is most likely skins, but we're gonna be rinsing this at least twice, so you're gonna have a nice clean bowl of ground provisions when we're done. So we're gonna chop the rest, and I'm gonna come back and show you when I'm done. And there you have it, guys. Time to get started. All of my seasonings have been chopped, and it is time to go ahead and start combining everything to make our delicious beef soup. Okay, I've got my big soup pot ready to go, and I've got about 7 to 8 cups of water in my soup pot. Okay, I'm gonna allow that to boil before I go in and add in my beef. Okay, I'm gonna be adding in my beef, my pumpkin, my carrots, my onions, you know, a few of my vegetables. I'm not gonna be adding everything in one go, but I'm gonna be showing you as soon as my water starts to boil. It is important that you add your beef to nicely warm or hot water. Don't add it to cold water because I find it makes the cooking time so much longer. Okay, so we're gonna allow our water to boil, and then we're gonna get started. Okay guys, and as you can see, my water is just coming up to a boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in my beef. Now you can choose to add it in a piece at a time or pour it all in. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so I'm just adding it a few pieces at a time. Alright, okay, so now that my beef has been added, I'm gonna go ahead and add in my onions, okay, followed by my garlic. I'm gonna add in my celery as well. Okay, I'm not gonna be adding in everything. I'm just gonna be adding a few ingredients at a time. Okay, I'm also gonna be adding in my pumpkins, as well as my carrots. Okay, so just put everything in there nicely. Okay, so now that all of that has been added, don't forget to add in our peppercorns. If you've got pimento, you can go ahead and put that in there as well, but I don't have any at the moment, so I'm just adding in what I have. Okay, it's always important to make use of what you've got. Alright, so now we're gonna go in with some salt. Okay, about a teaspoon or 2 of salt to go ahead and give this a nice mix. Okay, give this a good mix. So just let this cook for 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and add in our vegetables a bit later on. Okay, put the lid on and allow it to cook for 40 minutes. Okay, so hey guys, just want to show you a bit of an update of how our soup is coming along. Alright, so everything is looking nice and tender. I'm pretty sure you can see that my pumpkin is already cooked. I don't want to crush it too much because obviously it's gonna go ahead and make that soup a bit thicker as it goes along. So alright, so what we're gonna go ahead and do now is to add in a bit more of our other ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in my chow, which I've got over here. Okay, add in all of your chow, and after you've added in your chow, what you need to do is to go in and add in your yam and your Irish potatoes. Okay, so this is it. gonna go in. So let us do that. There you have it. And I'm just gonna make sure to give this a good stir. Alright. Now I'm also gonna go ahead and add in my spring onions over here, as well as my thyme and my scotch bonnet pepper. Just gonna float on the top and give it a nice bit of flavor. Last but not least, what you're gonna go ahead and add in now is your soup mix. Okay, so I'm gonna add all of that in there. Okay, so now that my soup mix has been added, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a nice good stir. Now as our soup boils, it's gonna start to thicken up a bit more, and what I'm gonna do now is to go ahead and make my dumplings that's gonna go in here. Put the lid back on, and we're gonna allow that to boil for another 15 minutes while we make our dumpling. Good, so now I'm just gonna show you how I make my dumplings. So over here I've got about 2 cups of flour that I told you that I had earlier on. Okay, so we're gonna pour all of that in there, and I also like to go in with just a little pinch of salt. Okay, so about 1/4 teaspoon, a little pinch of salt into my dumplings as well. And here I've got a cup of water, so all I like to do is to make a little well in the center and start combining the flour. Now when you're making bakes, it's quite different because you aim to have a nice soft dough, but when you're making dumplings, especially for soups, you tend to want to have a nice firm dough. Okay, so just add in your water gradually and start squeezing all the ingredients together to combine it. Okay, adding a bit more water and just start squeezing it together. And you can start kneading it as well. Okay, I like to go in with a little more water just to get all the excess on the bottom. And all you need to do is basically to just keep on kneading until you have a nice dough. Okay, go ahead and just knead that dough as best as you can. Okay, and you can knead it for about a minute or 2 after you've combined everything, and I like to let it rest for at least a minute or 2 before I go ahead and start adding it into my pot of soup. Okay guys, so my dough has been resting for the past 10 minutes, and what I'm going to go ahead and do now is just to tear off a section and make some dumplings to go into my pot of soup. Okay, and then our soup will be ready as soon as our dumplings are cooked. So let's go ahead and do that now. And this is how my pot of soup is coming along so very well, guys. Okay, so now it's time to go in with our dumplings. Alright, so we're just gonna tear off a section, and this is the size of the dumplings I'm putting in there. So all you're doing is just tearing a section, and then you're just gonna roll it in between your hands like so and put it in there. And sizes, okay, and lengths as well. Alright, so now what we're gonna do, as I add in my last 2 dumplings, is to go in with my spoon and to start stirring it up. Alright, so this is our lovely pot of soup that is coming along so very well. I'll let the dumplings cook for another 10 minutes. And there you have it, guys. My delicious pot of beef soup is ready. Oh my goodness, the sauce is nice and thick. And listen, this is just calling to serve it up right this moment. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is to go ahead and serve it up in a bowl, and I will show you guys the finished plate. All right, and there you have it, my lovelies, my delicious bowl of beef soup. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe if you haven't, and I will definitely see you in my next one. Bye guys.